I forgot about that too. Oh, and then yes. Anyway.
All righty. Alan. I don't see Alan. Do we? That's picking up everything I say. I think we're going directly into the. I don't know. It's like directly into Tracy's, right? Because there's nothing in the welcome. Alan, do you have any announcements before we dive right into Tracy's report? All right. All right, friends. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed your lunch. Tracy Merton was the chair of the Moderator's Advisory Committee for this triennium, and she has some time now to give her report. I'm going to get out of here.
There we are. Good afternoon. Are you with me? Are you here? You ready? Excellent. It is indeed a tremendous honor to be. It's hard to take you seriously with the hat and the bow tie. So I'm trying to be my professional. It's a tremendous honor to be in front of you as the chair of the Moderator's Advisory Committee. I've had lots and lots of fun roles with the General Council, and this has been the one that has moved me and changed me and inspired me the most. Sorry, MEPS friends. You will have read in your workbook, hopefully, the report that we wrote, so you have an understanding of what we are about and the scope of the work that we were tasked with. Hopefully, we captured what an incredible gift it has been to be about this work over the last 3 years. You've already had an opportunity to hear from the moderator and to thank her at the beginning of the week, and now we're going to do a little more. As you can see, there's some photos scrolling along there. They're not meant to match the words that I'm saying, but to offer you a glimpse, just a tiny hint of some of the places that she's gone and some of the really inspirational quotes that she may have left with us. So if you don't see your context reflected there, it doesn't mean that it wasn't significant, but we're trying to just capture a little glimpse. 3 years ago, Jordan said, "You betcha," to the call to serve our church as moderator. And since then, she has carried that role and responsibility with wisdom and grace, as you have witnessed. When she visited your community of faith, she might have visited your presbytery or your conference or district. She might have visited your youth event, or you might have read about it online on the website or read about it in the Observer. To aid in her journey, Jordan prayerfully gathered a group of friends to accompany her. And so today, I have some of those folks with me: Etienne Lesage, Susan Fortner, Nora Saunders, Russell Burns, and the 5th member of the mod squad, we call ourselves, Laura Foos, who is not the moderator.
Laura.
The other 3 folks, they are watching online, and they are here with us in spirit. Lauren King, Peter Short, and Mary Frances Denis up until December. I think I can say for all of us that we have been so blessed and so moved in this work together. And so thank you for the immense honor to do this. Jordan, you have embodied for us what it means to risk faith and to dare hope. And your integrity, authenticity, and playfulness throughout your term and throughout this week have steered us in a good way. I think I speak for all the folks gathered in this room and people who are watching online and throughout the church that you have truly quickened our hearts and showed us what it means to walk a path of reconciliation. So before I get too emotional, I just wanted to share a little glimpse of some moments of your time. And so we have a little video to show you.
Okay. Wait. Listen to.
So I'll figure out how to. Okay.
There we go. I was like, this isn't doing anything. Oh, sorry. 1 second. Okay.
Okay.
No.
What do we got for air? Lit up, or now do I look like it's nighttime?
No,
It could be nighttime because this could be later that same day, even though it's later the next day.
No, you don't
Okay.
have the glare anymore. No. Okay, don't move your head like that. Okay, move your head straight. Straight on. Look at me. Yeah, keep it kind of like that.
Okay, what do I can do this, but I can't do that.
That, well, do that again. That's okay, actually. It seems to be okay now. Yeah, okay.
All right. Here in El Salvador, I always have to remember what we're doing here in El Salvador.
Okay.
Got it. God is already working resurrection among us before we know it, before we can see it. What was the thing I was going to... Okay, no, I know. It's just that my brain is so... I've got the first part. There's that piece that I think God is lifting us up to new life. A life that is different. It comes out of the future. No, it doesn't. Okay, just carry on.
Go.
This is...
Sorry. Slightly, because you're...
Okay.
There we go. Now, yes.
May it be so in the world that God will create new life, resurrection in the midst of our Good Fridays. Honestly, you're mocking the moderator. Mocking. Overt mocking. I know, it was over the top. I was caught up in the moment.
The resurrection.
Resurrection.
Okay.
All right.
So clearly, we need to say thanks to the tech team who transformed that performance into the deeply heartfelt and spirit-filled moments that we were able to receive. So. Genuinely, Jordan did mention on Monday the work of the General Counsel and Conference Office staff in her success, and we are so fortunate. We are so fortunate to have so many skilled and gifted and competent and faith-filled people working with and amongst us, and maybe you have one at your table, and so sometime today say, oh, thank you. Really, thank you for the work that you do with us. But in particular today, I want to really recognize the wisdom and experience offered by the General Secretary and the unbelievable patience, like immeasurable. There are no ways to measure the amount of patience that Sue Fortner offers in this role.
C'est important que l'Église sache combien une modératrice ou un modérateur fait face à des attentes immenses. Il y a une foule d'invitations à assister à toutes sortes de moments importants dans la vie de beaucoup de communautés de foi. Puis c'est impossible pour une seule personne de toutes les accepter. Alors on a soutenu Jordan et contribué à son discernement et ses choix en fonction de ces 3 grandes priorités qu'elle avait mis à l'avant-plan: les jeunes, les partenaires œcuméniques et la promotion des relations justes. Et puisque maintenant on a entrepris le chemin qui mène à une nouvelle façon d'être l'Église, nous voulons vous encourager à être bien conscients des attentes qu'on projette sur nos leaders et à quel point c'est exigeant pour eux. C'est tout un honneur, c'est tout un privilège immense d'être modérateur ou modératrice, mais c'est pas facile. En passant, félicitations Richard, et t'as du travail, t'as du pain sur la planche, comme on dit par chez nous.
It is important for you, for us, the church, to know that the expectations of a moderator are incredible. Invitations come to attend significant moments in the lives of many communities of faith, and it is literally impossible for one person to meet those demands. Jordan's priorities of youth and young adults, ecumenical partnerships, and working with right relations dictated how we help to guide her discernment. As we move into a new way of being church, collectively, we might want to be mindful of how much we think about the expectations of the role of the moderator and the toll that it places on our leaders. So heads up, Richard, pretty big job up ahead of you. But most importantly today, come. This is our opportunity as a church, I'm a bit verklempt, to acknowledge with gratitude all that you, Laura, and Hope have offered in support during this term. For all the times the church called you to be with us instead of, or called her to be with us instead of with you. For all of the issues with birds or rats or dogs or household challenges that you had to have other people come and help with. For all the times we sent her back with a weary heart, or with so many stories of hope and joy that she was actually kind of annoying. We are grateful. There are many ways that you've supported and encouraged her from afar that we don't even know about. All y'all former moderators out there know how important the role of support is, but this First Lady offered her insight on social media, which you may have read yesterday on the GC43 Facebook, and invited all of us to pray and to journey with her, usually with gratitude, calling all of us to engage the world with love and with faith. You're amazing. Thank you. So finally, as you move into a sabbatical time together, after you chair the rest of the day, of course, like you're not done yet, some words of blessing. From Lauren King, here's to all the you betchas that come next. Go knowing that all the love and gratitude that have surrounded you on this journey continue with you now, wherever these next adventures lead. I happen to know with approximately 90% certainty that your next adventure leads to a congregation in Saskatoon, and I'm pretty sure that we're ready to receive those new you betchas. A little shout out to my St. Martin's friends. From Mary Frances Denis, the roller coaster ride is coming to an end. Revel in catching your breath before the next adventure. And from Peter. Dear Jordan, for the radical expenditure of your precious energies over the past 3 years, thank you. For the compassion and thoughtfulness you brought to the work on our behalf, thank you. For the brightness of your dream, thank you. In the freedom and rest you now so richly deserve, may the good Spirit bless you. My prayers go with you, Peter Short. That's it.
Jordan, tu m'as appelé un samedi matin J'étais à peine réveillé. J'ai pris le téléphone. Dring! Hi, this is Jordan Cantwell. Would you like to be part of my comedy? Et puis, je t'ai dit, je me suis dit, il y a probablement quelqu'un qui me... Is this a prank? C'est-tu une joke? Qu'est-ce qui se passe? I looked at my caller ID. And it was just the beginning of a great adventure with you. Jordan, tu as eu une façon presque magique d'être tellement accessible et attentive aux gens que quand tu passes du temps avec nous, c'est comme s'il n'y avait personne d'autre que nous qui existait. Et il n'y a pas de mots pour t'expliquer à quel point on se sent important. Je me souviens même d'un moment où tu savais qu'il y avait des défis dans ma paroisse, puis tu étais en Chine et tu m'as téléphoné. Alors, je suis certain que tu as fait un travail extraordinaire comme ça avec tout le monde que tu as touché. Maintenant, tu fais un excellent travail ici pendant notre conseil et je suis très fier de toi. Et je sais aussi qu'à la fin d'un travail aussi exigeant, de 3 années aussi exigeantes, on arrive à la maison, puis on est un peu désorienté. Alors, ma prière pour toi, c'est que ça devienne à ton tour de faire l'expérience du grand accueil et de la valorisation que tu as donné à tout le monde. Et que tout le monde que tu rencontres sur ton chemin te rappelle à quel point tu es importante parce que tu es Jordan, pas parce que tu es la modératrice. Et que ce chemin-là soit rempli de belles surprises pour toi pendant que tu te reposes. Et pendant que toi, Laura, tu seras aussi sur un chemin, you're going on a different path too. It's Laura's turn to go on a path. She's going to the Camino. Laura s'en va marcher à Compostelle. Et je suis très content parce que je sais que toi aussi, tu vas pouvoir surmonter ce défi-là et avoir de belles surprises. And you will be in our prayers. Thank you so much. Thank you.
It's been such a pleasure to work with this whole advisory committee. I want to thank Tracy and everybody on the committee for the support that they've given to Jordan. And I got to say some words of thanks the other day. So let me just be really brief and let you know that as a small indication of the trust and respect that I place in Jordan, when she said to me last week, I want to get some crazy clothes for us to wear during General Council, I said yes without even seeing what she had in mind. So there we go, great leadership. Thanks, Jordan.
You betcha, Jordan.
You know, in First Peoples language, we don't have a word for goodbye. We just say, Jordan, thank you for your awesome visits to our First Nation community. I'm stuck for words. It's been a blast. Thank you.
Moderator, that's our report. Maybe we could thank the moderator again for her leadership over the 3 years. Okay, back to work.
All right. Well, thank you very much, friends. That's very moving. I'm going to turn it over to Alan.
Thank you, Moderator. Before we carry on, I just wanted to do a little update on the clickers and the percentages. And so we think that somehow our magical ability is to cause a slide that is copy and pasted to change. And so some of the slides were showing the results of what it would have been were all the clickers used, while some of them still just shows the one that we're voting. So we are pretty sure we fixed that going forward. If we see the huge discrepancy, we will take that into account, but we should be fine. And there were 3 proposals that we're going to come back to for an immediate vote after we move through the other 2 themes. So we have 2 themes left. We'll do those, then we'll come back with those 3, and then we'll bring back to you the, in prioritized order, so starting with remit implementation, the ones that you decided we wanted to have a little more conversation about.
Great. Thank you very much. So, facilitation group.
Thank you very much, Moderator. We go to the theme Theology. There were no groups had general comments on this theme. Proposal MAR 02, 1925, 20 Articles of Faith. We heard there was either mixed or no support for the proposal. Groups expressed the need for General Council to define and engage the Church on what is exactly meant by essential agreement. It is being used differently in different parts of the country, and one group noted the Office of Vocation might help to bring consistency. The Articles of Faith were written close to 100 years ago and do not take into consideration modern scholarship, biblical understanding, feminist perspectives, indigenous wisdom, and expressions of our understanding of God. The word essential was originally adopted at Union to accommodate the more inclusive perspectives of the Congregationalist churches. There was some discussion about whether and how the Articles of Faith are used at the congregational level. The conversation raised the question of how we address different theologies on the spectrum of progressive to conservative. There were suggestions that a song of faith could be the requirement for essential agreement when entering ministry. One group wondered about the implications for recognition of ministry from partner denominations. The implications, rather, for recognition of ministry from partner denominations. Notes indicated that groups discussed whether or not we should delete the 20 Articles of Faith from the manual, even though MAR 02 actually proposes removing them from the requirements for essential agreement during ordination, admission, recognition of ministry. One group noted that this proposal was transmitted with non-concurrence from Maritime Conference. Therefore, we suggest the following way forward, that the 43rd General Council direct the Theology, Interchurch, Interfaith Committee to engage in a study of the meaning of essential agreement, and 2, take no further action on proposal MAR 02.
All right, thank you. So we've heard from the facilitation group, who have heard from you, and their suggested way forward that we direct the Theology, Interchurch, Interfaith Committee to engage in a study on the meaning of essential agreement, and that we take no further action on this proposal. If you could get your clickers ready. Now remember, we're not voting on what they're proposing. We're voting on what to do next. Do you feel like you've been heard and you're ready to vote? Do you feel like you've been heard but the motion needs some further discussion? Or do you feel like you haven't been heard accurately? Please indicate 1, 2, or 3. Okay, 95% of you have indicated that you're ready to vote, so I'm going to invite us to do that. You have the proposed wording there. I need a mover and a seconder, mic 3 and then mic 2.
David Whiting, London Conference.
Sorry.
Allison Mock, Hamilton Conference.
All right, and again, we'll make sure that the tech team has the spelling of your names, please. It's moved that the 43rd General Council direct the Theology, Interchurch, Interfaith Committee to engage in a study on the meaning of essential agreement, and that this council take no further action on proposal MAR 02. Get your clickers out. If you're in favor of this motion, click 1. If you're opposed, click 2. Please vote now. And that motion is carried by 95%. So, facilitation team.
Now we move to SK2, change of wording to questions asked of candidates for ministry. What we heard, there was mixed reaction in groups, but no affirmation for the proposal. Groups expressed a desire for the church to have this conversation. Groups reported that there is a desire for more inclusive language addressing the male-gendered language in the Trinity. There was discussion about the implications of this proposal, which would mean a move from Trinitarian to Unitarian theology. What would that mean for our ecumenical and full communion partners? Many groups expressed concern about the ecumenical implications. One group suggested a study on whether we could modernize the Trinitarian language to be more contemporary for the essential agreement requirements. One participant wondered if the question could simply just be, do you believe in God? One group said that this conversation has been a burden and resulted in broken relationships in other courts of the church. There was reluctance to engage in another remit. One participant wondered why we were discussing something they felt was settled at GC42. Some groups proposed a study that would be brought back to the 44th General Council. The suggested way forward, that the 43rd General Council direct the Theology, Interchurch, Interfaith Committee to engage in a study on modernizing the theological language we use for agreements required in the ordination, admission, recognition of ministry, and report back to the 44th General Council. And 2, take no further action on proposal SK02.
All right, so you have the facilitation team's report and their proposal for how we might move forward. Using your clickers, please indicate 1, 2, or 3. Please click now. Oh, sorry folks, hang on, there's a point of order.
We're at Sarah Brewer, Manitoba Northwestern Ontario Conference. Can we please include commissioning?
Yes.
In point.
Oh, you're talking, it's a required in ordination, commissioning, admission, recognition of ministry. Well, I'm going to ask the facilitation team. I think that was more a typographical admission.
That would be in keeping with the proposal and therefore would be in keeping with our recommendation.
Thank you. So we're adding commissioning in there. That's not really a change, that's simply a given. Because it's the same questions that are used at ordination and commissioning, and both are for ordered ministers. So, friends, where were we? We're 1, 2, or 3ing this one, right? Mm-hmm. All right, so are you ready to move to a vote, or are you needing more discussion, or did the group just completely miss the whole spirit of your discussions, please indicate now. You are ready to move to a vote. That was a 95%. So get your clickers ready. And I'm entertaining a mover and seconder. I see mic 3.
Moderator Bill Stedman from Manitou Conference. I'm pleased to move this motion.
I don't know who got there first, so I'm going to call mic 2.
Max Martin, Maritime Conference.
All right, thank you. It is moved and seconded that the 43rd General Council direct the Theology Interchurch Interfaith Committee to engage in a study on modernizing the theological language we use for agreements required in ordination, commissioning, admission, recognition of ministry, and report back to the 44th General Council and take no further action on proposal SK02. If you're in favor, please click 1. If you're opposed, click 2. Please vote now. And that has been carried. 92% was the vote in favor. Back over to you.
Next proposal is TOR 4, Rethinking and Updating the Social Gospel Theology. What we heard, there were mixed views on this proposal. Although there was constructive discussion in the groups, there wasn't consensus to affirm the proposal. The tone of the proposal might suggest that the social gospel is the intellectual property of the United Church, and we need to be careful in our language. One group said that 19th century understandings of right and wrong need to be brought into the modern age. Study and conversation are good things. Corporate memory of our theological roots in the social gospel has been lost. Updating theological language, addressing the current changes in our society's economic and social context. There is United Church theology work on this issue that is not assembled in one place. There is much good theology happening in our world through other groups and countries. And we do not need to take time, or we do not need to take time, energy, and money to address this issue. Groups were concerned about the additional recommendations by Toronto Conference directing regions to add social justice animators. It is important to consistently re-evaluate and update our evolving theology. The conversation study needs to include scholarly sources from diverse backgrounds and theologies. It was noted all theologians cited in the report were white. The Theology, Interchurch, Interfaith Committee has already been given several pieces of work. Could this be a conversation that happens elsewhere? Regions, clusters. We therefore suggest the following way forward, that the 43rd General Council take no further action on proposal TOR 04.
All right, thank you. You've heard the facilitation group report, and you have their proposal that we take no further action on proposal TOR 04. Please indicate 1, 2, or 3 with how you'd like to proceed. Click now. All right, so am I hearing that some of the clickers aren't working? What was our 275. It might actually be that your clickers didn't work this time. So can we redo that vote, please? All right, give us just a moment to reset things. And a deep breath and a little prayer. And please click now. Was it better? That's really close to the maximum that we've had today. So I think we'll call that one. 92% said that you were ready to go to a vote. And so I'm entertaining a mover and seconder. Microphone 1.
Samuel Vauvert-Dansoro, du Synode Montréal-Ottawa et de la brillante table 27.
Okay, and you're going to get the spelling of your name to our tech team, please, and microphone 2.
Perry Mitchell from Hamilton Conference. I'm glad to second this motion.
Thank you. All right, clickers out. If you are in favor of the motion to take no further, that the 43rd General Council take no further action on proposal TOR04, you will press 1. If you are opposed, you'll press 2. Please vote now. And that has been carried. Vote in favor was 92%. Thank you very much. And we have finished the theology theme, and we're moving on to identity and vision. Over to you, sir.
You will no doubt be thrilled that this is the last theme that we're going to be dealing with today, except for the ones that you've set aside. So this is identity and vision. The general comments we heard were that it's important for us to be talking about identity in the midst of a remit process. We need to be able to articulate more than a few public perceptions or perspectives. Without a vision, we are lost. We need to stay true to our vision and identity as we move from the old to the new. The first proposal was BC3, leading on purpose. There was no consensus on this proposal, but there were a number of comments. Who we say we are as a denomination and who we say we are in our congregational living is disconnected. We would want the denomination to clarify its purpose and vision so that our congregations can live into that vision. Efficiency is not a Christian virtue. This feels redundant or too late, even if it reaffirms important parts of moving forward. We should be doing adaptive work instead of structural work, i.e., we need work on strategic leadership instead of functional leadership. One group questioned if this proposal was really about funding and setting things up so that funding follows following priorities. There was a question about whether or not this should be the work of the transition teams. Who is setting the direction, top-down or bottom-up? Concern if we are moving away from grassroots. Some suggested that this could be a good idea to ground us with all the changes we are undertaking, especially true since General Council Executive needs priorities to base the budget on. Others are concerned this would be imposing something that shouldn't be a priority onto the General Council Executive. So our suggested way forward, that the 43rd General Council take no further action on proposal BC03.
All right, thank you. You have the report of the facilitation group and you have the recommendation. Now we're going to use your clickers to indicate what you want to do next. Please indicate 1, 2, or 3 now. All right, I see 88%. So we're going to put that one to the side for the moment, and we're going to move on to BC5, A Vision to Ground Us.
A vision to ground us. There was support for this proposal from most of the groups, accompanied by very robust conversations. Some comments included, "This work may be a priority, but should it be? There was debate about the need to do this type of work, or is it time to stop talking and get to action?" Two groups felt it was unnecessary when we have a new creed and a song of faith. There was concern about how much money would be spent to deal with this work. People recalled the Arnprior consultation and the calls to be the church in GC39, which was used to hold ourselves accountable. One group commented, "It's about time. We've been tied up with structure conversations for so long, we have not talked about being the church. We need to affirm the importance of working with and through the Spirit." Congregations already have familiarity with the joint needs assessment process. The General Council should do this type of work too. We should always put mission and purpose first, and the bricks and mortar will follow. We need to maintain and deepen the relationship, the Indigenous church in this work, as well as equal partners in the sacred circle. Some affirmed the need to engage all levels of the church. One group preferred to leave this work to the moderator and the denominational executive. It's important in the light of ecumenical partners. Perhaps we need a good marketer. We need an effective communication strategy to relate who we are to our congregations and the world. There is a wide cross-section of people and ideals. It's an expensive process that cannot be justified. The suggested way forward is that the 43rd General Council affirm proposal BC05 and refer it to the General Secretary.
All right, thank you. We have the report of the facilitation group. You have the suggested way forward. I invite you to use your clickers to indicate how you would like to proceed, 1, 2, or 3. Now, yes. And 90% of you are saying that you're ready to vote. So I need a mover and seconder. Microphone 3.
Mark Marshall, London Conference. I will so move.
And microphone 1.
Ingrid Brown, BC Conference. I second.
All right, thank you. It is moved and seconded that the 43rd General Council affirm proposal BC05 and refer it to the General Secretary. If you are in favor, please click 1. If you are opposed, please click 2. Please vote now. And it says 86%, so we're going to put that one to the side and come. That was the vote. It's carried. Sorry.
I knew that was going to happen.
It had to happen eventually, folks. But at least you all are awake and paying attention. It was a test, and you passed. Excellent. Thank you. Back over to you.
So, TICIF 1/GCE17 report on membership. As you might suspect, this generated a large number of notes coming back from the discussion groups. You would know that from being in the discussion groups, but your note takers were very diligent. And so, of course, we haven't recorded in this case, as in the other cases, all of the comments that came back to us, but we felt it was important to give you a really good sense of the kinds of things that came back because there were so many comments forwarded to us. So here goes. There was rigorous conversation about this proposal with many perspectives, some of which we have captured below. There does need to be change. Could we change to something more inclusive? Church needs conversation about discipleship. Jesus told us to leave no one behind. We also need clarity on membership so we can determine who has the right to vote at meetings. Even with Model 2, we still need to draw a line about how we define commitment. Most groups had mixed preferences for Model 1 and for Model 2. Concern was expressed about the loss of connection between baptism and membership in Model 2. There is a need to acknowledge that there are those who are fully active and committed, and there are those who may be full members but not active. Membership is an opportunity to recognize the relationship with the community of faith. The language in the current model is dated, i.e., adherents may only vote on temporal matters. In one group, 19 favored Model 1, one person liked Model 2, and one was ambivalent. One group was almost unanimously favored Model 2. One group felt we should start with Model 2 and incorporate the best of Model 1 into it. Another suggested combining the best of Model 1 and Model 2 into a Model 3. You could see why we were up till 3 in the morning. There is a concern about non-active members who return only to influence and cause upset over specific issues. Many congregations have not had conversations recently about membership. A few groups suggested that there should be further study. There are active congregants who might never become full members under our current model because of cultural ties to another faith tradition, for example, Roman Catholic, but who add to the life of our church. If we are not careful, we could end up with too many categories of membership. Some dislike the binary either-or approach of the proposal. It seems administrative rather than spiritual. How does this fit with the General Council's other conversations around vision and identity? One group commented that we haven't educated our own membership well about what membership is, i.e. adherents, members, full members, transfer of membership. People need to know what it means to be a member of the United Church of Canada. What does it mean to belong to the family of God, to the wider Christian family? Baptism is an important part of that belonging to the family. One group recommended that Theology, Interchurch, Interfaith Committee do more work on this and solicit more feedback at the local level. So the suggested way forward, that the 43rd General Council forward all notes from the discussion groups at GC43 to the Theology, Interchurch, Interfaith Committee to facilitate their further work on the issue of membership, and 2, direct the General Secretary to develop and implement an educational campaign for communities of faith on our current membership model as defined in the manual.
All right, thank you. So, friends, you have the report. You have the recommended way forward. Where do you want to go from here? Do you want to vote? Do you want to discuss, or did they just miss the boat? 1, 2, or 3? Please indicate now. All right, that's 88%, so this one we are going to put to the side, and we'll come back to that. We've got one more in this theme.
Honoring the divine in each other, Hindu United Church relations. What we heard. The United Church is really good at creating resources, but needs to encourage people to use them. Groups appreciated the consistency with other interfaith partners, and some mentioned previous interfaith statements in particular. Actually, something's missing there. In particular, there was a study on Judaism, relations with the Jewish community and the Islamic Muslim community. One group suggested to make online access to this statement. The Commons website is not user-friendly. This statement should be referred to the theological schools for study and use. One group raised a justice concern about the caste system. Some wish to see the United Church to go further with all interfaith statements. There was a concern raised about the wording, God's liberating presence at work in the Hindu faith, on page 4. It was explained that this is from the 1966 United Church document that God is at work in other religions. The suggested way forward, that the 43rd General Council adopt the statement honoring the divine in each other, United Church Hindu relations today, and commend it to communities of faith as encouragement to continue to build interfaith relationships.
Thank you. So friends, you have the facilitation group's report and their recommendation that the statement be adopted and commended to communities of faith as encouragement to continue to build interfaith relationships. Please indicate with your clickers 1, 2, or 3 how you want to move now. All right, 98% of you have said you're ready to vote. So I need a mover and a seconder, microphone 1, then 3.
Robert Goss, I move.
Microphone 3.
Jim McKibben, Toronto Conference, I second.
All right. So get your clickers ready. If you are in favor of the motion, you're going to click 1. If you are opposed, you will click 2. Please vote now. That has been carried, and the vote was 96% in favor. And Marion Best would like to say a word.
Just on behalf of the facilitation team, we want to thank you for the care that you took in those discussion groups for those who facilitated them, for those who did the recording. I mean, our job was kind of lengthy, but nonetheless, the material we got was very good to work with. And it wouldn't have worked except for the work that you did in those discussion groups. So we want to thank you.
And friends, I would like to note that on each of the votes, each of the times we did a 1, 2, or 3, even when we decided to set something apart, we were overwhelmingly feeling heard by the facilitation team. The facilitation group overwhelmingly, according to you, captured well the spirit of your conversation. So I'm going to ask the facilitation team to stand up, and may we please thank them. We have gotten through a round 1 on all those themes, and so I think, here's what I think. 3?
3 to vote on.
Are we doing that now, or we're gonna? I know those 3 first, but I wanted to do a little something, something first. Something, something. I only got a few hours left. So I would like you to all walk as slowly as you can to a microphone if you have a speak out that you would like to offer. Nice and slow. Nobody gets hurt. Nobody gets left behind. And we'll take about 3 minutes, 4 minutes worth. So we'll start with microphone 1.
Martha Wood, Toronto Conference. My dad made a really beautiful stained glass window for our church when we became affirming. It has a rainbow with Jesus in the middle and 2 clouds at the end of each end of the rainbow that has an Alpha and Omega. And he wanted me to promote that to General Council, that he would be happy to make more for any congregations that would like to. So I'm at table 43 if you'd like to get my contact information.
Thank you. All right, microphone 3.
I'm a member of the Council of Rideau Hill Camp, which is a part of United Church Camping, and I just want everybody to remember that United Church Camping is happening this summer. There are kids going to camps all across Canada, and I want to say, woohoo!
Woohoo!
It's also my daughter's 19th birthday today, so she's not watching she wouldn't be watching this, but I just want to say happy birthday, Mallory.
Thank you. Microphone 1.
Hi, I'm Bella Barbero, and I'm one of the pilgrims. I represent Manitou Conference, and on behalf of the pilgrims, we would love if you guys would follow us on our social media. So we have a Facebook account, it's GC43 Pilgrims, and an Instagram account, GC43 Pilgrims as well. And we've been posting quite a bit, so we would love if you would support us and follow us on there.
Thank you. And it's Bella's birthday. Microphone 1 again, then 2, then 3, then 1.
Rachel Vollmer, Bay of Quinte Conference. 3 very quick things. I'm here, and I beat out my grandma to get here. Thank you, Grandma. I want to say shout out to Table 4 and McCall, who brought us chocolate basically every day. And a big shout out to the tech team. I sit at the back of my church and do projection and sound, and I would be terrified to do that. So thank you.
Thank you. Microphone 2.
Hi, I'm Catherine Durrell from the General Council Office, and I just wanted to draw people's attention to a great event that the United Church of Canada is co-hosting with Emmanuel College in September. You can check it out on the United Church website. It's called Marking Moments, and it's celebrating anniversaries in the church this year that are significant, and there's going to be a great panel of speakers and experts. And if you can't come in person, it's in Toronto, then you can sign up for the webinar, and it's live and interactive. Thanks.
Hey, thank you. You guys are getting so good at this speak out. You're doing it in under half a minute. Amazing. Microphone 3.
Barry Reeder from Toronto Conference. And just for those people that didn't get any indication from the news today, I have a lament from Toronto. Last night, Doug Ford is proceeding to end up reduce the council, the city council, by half. He's bulldozing that through. The mayor only found out about it by watching the news.
Thank you for that. Microphone 1.
Brent Kaslik from London Conference. We've been referring to the next meeting as GC44, but should it be DC01?
We'll wait and see on that. Microphone 1.
Heather Leffler, Hamilton Conference. I want to make sure you all know about a wonderful gift that we received from the Episcopalian Church in the States, United Fresh Start. If you don't know about it, go to the website, find out about it. We're using it in Hamilton Conference for ministers new to their pastoral charges. They met 6 times through the year. It was great. We did workshops at the conference annual meeting. We've used it where we don't have interim ministers. They're great workshops. 4 of them you can actually offer in your own congregation. Just go on the website and find out.
Thank you. Last one, microphone 3.
J'aimerais vraiment remercier la petite équipe du ministère en français de l'Église unie qui nous a accompagnés tout au long du Conseil général. They worked hard. The translator worked very hard and late too yesterday. So it's a great team. Et merci à Stéphane Vermette de s'être occupé des médias et de nous avoir tous interviewés. Et je voudrais souhaiter la bienvenue à Éric Hébert, qui succède à Christine Greenaway. Donc, merci beaucoup pour ce soutien.
Merci beaucoup. All right. Thank you. So, friends, of the ones that we put aside because we thought we didn't have 90% agreement to proceed with, or immediately to a vote, upon looking at the actual numbers, not the numbers that appeared on the screen, 3 of them actually had 90% or more in favor of proceeding immediately to a vote. So in this order, we're going to vote on those. SK1, the Sexual Misconduct Prevention and Response proposal, that had 94% approval to go immediately to vote. MNW02, Funding Rural Ministry, had a 92% approval to go immediately to vote. And GCE19, the assessment rate, had a 90% approval to go to vote. So beginning with SK1, Sexual Misconduct Prevention and Response, it's in the ministry personnel theme. I'm a mover and a seconder, microphone 3.
Pam Thomas, Saskatchewan Conference, I move it.
And microphone 1.
Bob Hayes, I second it.
All right, and our tech team are all over it. It's up on the screen. So it is moved and seconded that the 43rd General Council affirms proposal SK1, Sexual Misconduct Prevention and Response Policies and Procedures Accessibility, and directs it to the General Secretary, General Council, for implementation. Please get your clickers out. We're voting on this. If you're in favor, you'll click 1. If you're opposed, you will click 2. Please vote now. And that has been carried with 94% of the votes. All right, now under small and rural ministries, we're looking at MNW02, funding rural ministry. And I'm looking for a mover and a seconder for this motion. Microphone 1.
Sue White, Maritime Conference.
And microphone 3.
Julie Frostad, Saskatchewan Conference.
All right. If you don't see your names up there in full, it means the tech team didn't get them or they don't have the spelling, so please get over there and let them know. But it is moved and seconded that the 43rd General Council direct the General Secretary to encourage the regions to consider this proposal and that the General Council take no further action. So if you're in favor of this motion, then please click 1. If you are opposed, click 2. Vote now, please. Hang on. Well, while the technology is sorting itself out, we have a point of order anyway. It was like it knew.
Angus McLennan, Toronto. Should this say the specific proposal rather than this proposal?
Thank you. Yes, it should. So in where it says this proposal, we'll have it say MNWO, proposal MNW002. Thank you for that clarification. And now, because somehow something went wrong, we're going to vote on it. What didn't work? It did pass. It worked? Okay, 93%, there we are. 93% of you voted in favor of that, so that is carried. Thank you. Now I'm looking for a mover and seconder for GCE 19, the assessment rate, and this is in the remit implementation theme. Microphone 3.
It's Brian Cornelius, Chair of Permanent Committee on Finance. I move it.
Sue Broderick, Alberta Northwest Conference. I second it.
Thank you. So it is moved and seconded that the 43rd General Council affirm proposal GCE 19 assessment rate 2019 to 2021 and direct the General Secretary to implement. If you're in favor, you'll click 1. If you're opposed, you'll click 2. Please vote now. And that is carried by 92% of the vote. All right, and just as that happened, my watch beeped to tell me it's time to move on to the next thing. So, well done. So Alan's gonna tell us what he thinks we should do now. I have intercultural observers, yeah? Except that the next thing has requested that they go later. And so the next thing is going to be that we stay with remit implementation theme, and we go to BQ1. So now what we're doing is all the things that got set aside because they didn't get a 90% approval to go immediately to vote. Now we're taking them and we're doing them in the order of the theme prioritization. So the #1 theme priority that we still have to deal with is remit implementation, and we're beginning with BQ1, maintaining the name General Council. And this is also HAM 1, maintaining the term General Counsel. So, microphone 1. Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to move and second them, and then we're going to discuss and amend as necessary. So microphone 1.
Are we moving that, though?
What we're going to do now, friends, is we're just going to take a deep breath. Going to close your eyes if you feel comfortable to do so. Place your hands open on your lap. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out, and just allow the air, the spirit, the energy that is among us to move through you. Keep doing that. And now we're going to hear from our business chair.
Thank you, moderator. Sorry, we got to the confusing one right away, and I was not ready. So on this one, there was, in fact, more 3s than 2s. And so there was consultation between the business table and the facilitation group. And the understanding that we reached was that the facilitation group was not comfortable in what they did, and that's what they felt they could do. The business table wanted to offer a suggested way forward from us. So, and the only way we can figure out to do that in the process we're following is to move second this, and then have a move. Can we show the amendment that will come after we move and second this? And then we can see, so you understand what we're doing here. So the business table will move in second that the denominational council be understood to be the legal description of the decision-making body of the United Church of Canada, which will continue to be referred to as the General Council. And there may be confusion on this, and we can do that, but that is what we felt might be a compromise between what they heard. And if you look through the notes of what they heard, we felt that that reflected that. But the process we're following is that we will move something, and then we can make an amendment and then discuss that. So that is our suggestion.
So what's happening with the...
So the amendment would be to...
An amendment? So we're going to move this thing and then bring this
we can bring it as a separate motion. The way that we had been working is that things coming from the notes that were clearly reflected in the notes and what had been heard from the discussion group could be put into the motion. And there was a couple times that we have taken a no further action and then taken action. And so this is the same thing, is that we're taking from the notes, that is what has been heard. This is our suggestion, it is your call. This is a way we felt we could move forward on this item, and I'm sorry that it's not the smoothest, but it's the best way we could figure it.
And ask the General Secretary to comment on this.
So just a small comment to add to what Alan said is that my understanding was there was some confusion in the facilitation group discussions which took place in the middle of the night about whether the motion was going to require a remit. And that was in part why they were suggesting no action. And the wording that the business table has suggested that shows in yellow would not require a remit, but would have the result of continuing to call this body that meets, when it meets, still calling it the General Council.
Okay, so if I understand, the business table is proposing, and will in a moment, will we do a 1, 2, or 3 on this? No.
No. So
nope.
We would move in second.
The business table is moving and seconding that the denominational council be understood to be the legal description of the decision-making body of the United Church of Canada, which will continue to be referred to as the General Council, and that this is a suggested way forward that reflects the spirit that they have heard in the notes from the facilitation group that includes the concern about not wanting to go to remit over this. Point of order, Mike.
Wayne Sanderson, Manitoba Northwest Ontario Conference. Are we going to vote first on the original proposal or the original motion and then entertain this as an amendment, or is this going to be a totally separate motion, but we still have the first motion to deal with?
Can we have the General Secretary, please?
So one option would be to have the original motion moved and seconded as a motion, and ideally by a mover and seconder who would consider that part in yellow to be a friendly amendment.
Absolutely. Thank you. If that's the case, I would so move, if I'm allowed to.
Okay. I see. So we could move and second the motion that came from the facilitation, or the wording that came from the facilitation team. Here's what okay. I'm sure that all of our heads are wrestling with this differently. My understanding is there is no motion before us at the moment, that a suggested way forward has been proposed, that the court has said, we don't like that suggestion. And so now a suggestion has been made, and I think there is no right or wrong answer. There is just what's going to get us there. There is now a suggestion that the wording could change to what is in yellow. For those who can't see yellow, it reads that the 43rd General Council, never mind, that the suggested way forward is that the denominational council, in quotation marks, be understood to be the legal description of the decision-making body of the United Church of Canada, which will continue to be referred to as the General Council, in quotation marks, General Council. So, yeah, what I'm going to do is ask you to use your clickers, and we're going to do a 1, 2, 3 vote. And I realize that the questions of 1, 2, 3 aren't quite it. But the intention is, 1, are you ready to vote using that wording that was in yellow? Are you ready to just move to a vote with the yellow? Or do you kind of like the spirit of the thing, but you still want to work with it and massage it? Or do you think, no, we're still nowheres, this is not it. This is not it. 1, 2, or 3. And the tech team needs, so you've got some time to ponder. Are you a 1, a 2, or a 3 on this? Take a good look. What we're saying is, so that we needn't go to remit, we'll officially call the thing denominational council. But because we love the name General Council, or we're used to the name General Council, or everyone knows this is the General Council, that's what we're going to keep calling it. That's what we're saying. So, and there's a point of order. Yeah?
I think it's become a point of order. I don't think it was before. But can I get a sense from Nora? My understanding from the language of the remit is that denominational council was always lowercased as simply a placeholder name, and then it was capitalized after the remit passed.
Yeah, it's appropriate that it doesn't need to be in capitals in this, what's in yellow there.
So I guess my
it is the legal description, as that yellow would say. So I think with your point that we could take the capital letters out of denominational council.
I guess my thinking was that since it was in lowercase in the remit, if we were to change, if it was interpreted as a placeholder name in the remit, then to replace that with general council would not require another remit. Is that accurate?
The wording offered in yellow is the simplest way to avoid a remit being needed.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Right. So denominational council is the legal description of the body that will be called general council. We are ready to go to a 1, 2, 3. So, to be clear, if you think we got a wording that you want to just vote on, You're not voting on it yet. But if you're ready to vote on the wording that was proposed, you're a 1. If you think we got the spirit of what we're trying to get at, but the wording isn't right yet, you're a 2. And if you think that we just need to do more work on this altogether because we're not at it yet, then you're a 3. Please indicate now. Well, we're close. We're in terms of getting there, but we're not there. So we're feeling like we got the spirit. So I'm going to invite Larry Doyle from the business table, I think. Are you wanting to? Yes, Larry Doyle from the business table. I'm not ignoring mic 2 and 3. I'm going to get there. Oh, mic 1, sorry.
Larry Doyle, Bay of Quinte Conference. So as I understand this now, the opinion is that we actually didn't change the name at all, and denominational council never really adhered other than in usage. And so all we're doing here, if I've got it right, is that the language of denominational council is a legal term, kind of like my house is lot 41, part 7, concession 3, but is always known as 41 Remington Street, right? So one is, and the only time that denominational council will ever be used is in those legal things, but everywhere else it'll be general council. Is that correct?
That is what I understood as well.
Then technically, we could just withdraw the whole thing and not do it because we're already general counsel. But, or we could do it to clarify, and just to reinforce, to allay the confusion that may be in the wider church because we've been using the other so much.
It may be that 327 people are now clear about that, but perhaps the rest of the church wouldn't be because of the talk that's out there. So
then it's appropriate to say, take no action on BQ1 and the second thing, and it all makes sense. So I would move that we take no action or further action on BQ1 and Hamilton 1, and that the denominational council be understood in the words in yellow.
Okay, I have a mover for that. And microphone 2?
It's Bill Sheaves, Bay of Quinte Conference. I'll second that motion.
Okay, thank you. Now we got a motion before us, and everybody's sitting down, so I think that's what you all wanted, at least the people who were at microphones. So the motion before us is that the 43rd General Council take no action on proposals BQ1 and HAM1, and that the denominational council, and doesn't need to be in quotation marks, be understood to be the legal description of the decision-making body of the United Church of Canada, which will continue to be referred to as the General Council. Okay, we can leave the quotation marks. Point of order, Mike?
Yes, a point of order. Osandra Nixon, BC Conference. So my understanding of the process is that when we vote 1, 2, 3, when we voted on the original way forward earlier, and that it went to number 3, which was to come back, and so whether it was the business table or the facilitation group that brought it back, that we would treat it to be consistent with the process we agreed to. It would come back and be dealt with the same way. So my understanding would be that this new way forward, which is in yellow, we now just voted on 1, 2, 3, and I think we voted 2, and my understanding is when we vote 2, like the rest of the ones that are coming right after this, the motion will simply come and it will be on the floor for debate. So I would suggest that this new motion is out of order, that we should be using the language in yellow as our motion on the floor to debate.
Do you want to speak to that? Okay.
I think that this was received as the motion in white was introduced and then amended all in one step to save people time. But we are in the process now where everything that we're going to be talking about from here on in the afternoon is things that are going to have discussions. Some of them will have amendments. And this was considered an amendment because it was introduced as the original motion and then the amendment done as a friendly amendment all in one step.
Okay, thank you.
So I'll entertain a point of order, but friends, we're also in unfamiliar territory because we're doing business in a new way. So if it doesn't look like the duck you're used to, it's because it might be a chicken, but chicken is good for us too. And maybe that's the meal that we're eating. So if we're doing something wrong, we can, we got to correct it. But if we're just doing something different, that's different than something wrong. A point of order, Mike.
Thank you, Moderator. Jim Weber, Cook Maritime Conference. I, like many of us, I think, are somewhat confused, and I'm not wanting to add to the confusion, but I have a rather simple question, I believe. When we voted to implement the remits, did we not, by implementing the remits involved in this matter, agree as a church that denominational council would be the language used? That was part of the remit that we enacted? Is that accurate or inaccurate?
If I can have my mic. The understanding that I'm offering is that when the word denominational council was used, that was a description rather than a name. And that gives room to allow, if you should wish, only if this body wishes to continue using the name General Council, denominational council still will be used in legal contexts and probably in the legislation. But if you pass this motion, you can continue to call this meeting and this gathering of people the General Council.
I guess I did not understand in that same way. So my understanding at this point was that if that was what we did, we would have to take some action to make a change. But thank you for the clarification.
Thank you. Microphone 1.
Ralph Heyman, Hamilton Conference. It seems to me that the wording is backward, that we should be saying the wording in yellow first, that denominational council be understood to be the legal description, and then that 43rd General Council take no further action on proposals BQ1, HAM1. So I'm not sure if that's a friendly amendment or I just put that out there for consideration.
Do the mover and seconder consider that to be a friendly adjustment? Yes, I'm seeing thumbs up. So thank you. Grammatically, that makes more sense. Point of order, Mike?
Point of order, Moderator. I'm just sitting here wondering if, in fact, the business table, or as much love as I have for Larry and respect for him, is actually a commissioner, because I'm pretty sure it's commissioners who move the motions here at General Council. And so I'm not sure.
He's a commissioner.
He is? Okay, good.
Yep, thank you. Microphone 1.
Mona Denton from Manitoba, Northwestern Ontario. And my understanding, and maybe I'm wrong, is that denominational council is a descriptor in the same way that governing body might be a descriptor for churches. Some have councils, some have boards. Would that be correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Are you ready for the question, friends? All right, well, get your clickers out. And if you're in favor of the motion as you have it before you, please click 1. If you are opposed, click 2. Please vote now. And that is carried with a 93%. Oh, friends, I know we're all very enthusiastic that we just got through it, but still, I want to thank you for, we are in a new process, and of course every now and then we stumble, and for your grace and good humor as we've tripped over our feet a little bit in the process, and for bringing us to this place where we have made a decision and are now moving on to GCE 08, remit-related revisions to the basis of union. And I've got so we've got it up there. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to move and second it, and then we're going to discuss it. So I need a mover and a seconder. Microphone 2.
Fred Brayman, Synode Montréal et Ottawa.
Thank you. And microphone 3.
Blair Patterson, Montreal-Ottawa Conference.
All right. Now you were not ready to just vote on it. You wanted to talk about it a bit. So again, friends, we're looking for constructive, if it's the wording isn't right, what we're trying to do now is get the wording right, so we're ready to vote on it. So if people have suggestions for how this motion can be improved, then I would invite you to make your way to a mic. It's okay, we moved away from it, so I know you got to move back to it and refresh your minds about what it is we're talking about. So microphone 3.
Moderator, Mark Arnell, Bay of Quinte Conference. And a question that, just on point number 3, the depth of this work and the importance of it for the basis of union. And wondering if we should not just have the executive, but have it some sort of report to us technologically and then proceed.
So are you proposing an amendment that would change point 3?
Yes.
Can you?
That we, whatever the formal reconvene General Counsel to, after adequate time to study the work, to then and to finalize the required edits.
So I'm going to ask you to write out the wording for the amendment that you would like to see and to get it to the business table and share it with us because it's hard to debate something if we're not sure what we're debating. Microphone 3.
Sue Broderick, Alberta Northwest. I think the wording for number 3, what we're asking for, is that delegate the authority to GC43 commissioners to finalize the required edits to the basis of union, therefore requiring reconvening of GC43 at a later date.
Okay,
That's
well, I'm going to
for.
suggest we're not going to delegate something to ourselves. It's not really delegating then, but rather that the 43rd General Council be reconvened to finalize the required edits to the basis of union.
Yes, that's exactly what we're asking for.
So 1 and 2 will remain, so it would read that the 43rd General Council, 1, refer the proposal to the Executive General Council. 2, refer the General Council 43 discussion group notes on proposal GCE 08 to the General Secretary for review and to facilitate further edits. And 3, that the 43rd General Council be reconvened to finalize the required edits to the basis of union. And friends, I want you to know that when we say reconvened, the assumption, well, be reconvened electronically.
Yes. Electronically, yes.
Electronically to finalize the edits to the basis of union. Yeah. So we're not all going to get together here in Oshawa or anywhere. We're going to get together online. And we have done this before a couple of times, and we're actually quite good at it. So, yeah. So that is the amendment that has been, are you moving and seconding, the two of you there?
I am.
So can we have your
I'll go over.
names again for the business table, please?
Mark Arnell.
Where are you from?
And Bay of Quinte Conference.
And Sue Broderick, Alberta Northwest Conference.
All right, so thank you. We have an amendment before us. The discussion is now on the amendment. Microphone 3.
Judith Evenden, Bay of Quinte Conference. We've got extensive notes on this, and I would trust those in the manual committee and Cynthia to do the work. And I'm wondering if Nora could just speak to how soon this has to be ready in order for a manual to be in our hands for January 1st. So I speak against this.
Thank you. We do have plans for an executive meeting in September so that the things could be approved in time for the manual to be ready for the new year. So I think if we were looking at reconvening General Council, it would be in that same time frame.
So we'd be looking at an electronic meeting probably in September of this body. Microphone 2.
Murray Spear, Alberta Northwest, looking at the notes and the suggestions in the facilitation report, I don't see anything substantive enough to require reconvening the General Council, so I'm opposed to the amendment.
Thank you. And I'm seeing nobody else at a microphone. Oh, I thought you left. I'm sorry. Microphone 3.
I did. I'll just add another reason for Brian Cornelius, Chair of a Permanent Committee on Finance. I'll just add another reason why against the amendment. It does not come without cost for both staff energy, and there is cost for a reconvening of a meeting, and I don't see the necessity either.
All right, thank you. Are you ready to vote on this amendment? I think you are. So this is just on the amendment, not on the whole motion. We are simply voting either in favor of the amendment, which would mean that this body would be reconvened probably in September to finalize the edits, or if you're opposed, then we would simply take that out and we'd be back to... Sorry, microphone 3.
Just received further information about the implementation of the changes, so I would be willing to withdraw the amendment, understanding the implications of a few things.
And is the seconder willing to withdraw it as well? All right, well, friends, there's nothing to talk about. We're back to, thank you for that, and we are back to the original motion, which is that this body would delegate authority to the executive of the General Council to finalize the required edits to the basis of union. So that is the motion before us. Is there any further discussion? And I'd really like, if there is, to hear from folks who are less commonly at the microphone. Microphone 1.
I'm not going to sing anymore. I'd like to make a proposal, an amendment to Section 3, Communities of Faith 5.1. I would like to add at the beginning that the primary unit of the organization of the United Church of Canada is the community of faith. Then a community of faith is a community of people.
Okay, so, sorry, we're actually just dealing with the wording of the suggested way forward. We're not doing the editing of the manual here. Thank you. Right. That's a helpful clarification. We're just talking about the words on the screen with the understanding that all of your notes from your discussions are going to go into that discernment about what the manual should ultimately say. Microphone 2.
Moderator Murray Spear, Alberta Northwest Conference. Trusting that things that are in the notes, discussion notes and facilitation report are consistent with the intent of the motion, I move to amend the motion by striking the text of the motion and replacing it with that the 43rd General Council affirm GC08 and instruct its implementation. And I would need a seconder for that.
So, okay, well,
so that rather than referring it to Nora to do this work, we affirm GC08 and it's done. That's why I voted 2 on the question of moving to the motion.
I'm not sure that's an amendment. That's, I think, a different motion, because that... Okay, can we have the General Secretary's mic, please?
I appreciate the sentiment of support and confidence, but this wording has been developed by the business table with the input of the legal counsel as the best way to move this forward using the comments received.
So I think if this motion were to fail in its entirety, Murray, then you could come back with that as a proposal. I'm hearing a call for the question. I see nobody at the mic, so I'm going to ask you to get your clickers out, and if you are in favor of the motion as it is, please press 1. If you're opposed, please press 2 and vote now. Ha! All right, vote now. Exactly. First unanimous vote. All right, and that is carried with a 96% vote in favor. One more under remit implementation, MAR03, action on the formation of an association of ministers within the new 3-council model. You felt heard, but you wanted to massage the wording, so I'm going to ask for a mover and a seconder so that we can get this on the table and discuss it, and then microphone 2.
Ross Bartlett, Maritime Conference.
And microphone, I saw 1 first.
Jim Weber Cook, Maritime Conference.
All right, so moved and seconded that the 43rd General Council refer proposal MAR03 to General Council Executive for information. And I think we didn't get the seconder's name. So, is there any discussion? And here's the discussion that I'm looking for. You said that the wording wasn't right. So the discussion I'm looking for is some change to the wording that would help us to feel like we were ready to vote. Microphone 1.
Penny Nelson, Maritime Conference. I would move an amendment to strike the word information and instead read action or implementation, whichever would be better.
Do you have a seconder?
Yes.
Elaine Kellogg, Bay of Quinte Conference.
All right. So we have an amendment that's proposed and moved and seconded. So now we're discussing the amendment to change for implementation, or for information to for implementation. So we'd be talking about that the 43rd General Council refer proposal MAR03 to the General Council Executive for implementation, which is a very different proposal than what came from the synthesis of the notes. I just want to highlight that because the facilitation team was proposing something quite different based on your discussions. So, point of order, Mike.
Kathy Stewart-Savage, Hamilton Conference, and I think this is in conflict with the original motion, so should be out of order.
This is what I am wrestling with as well. It's actually almost the opposite of what we heard from the facilitation team. So, I mean, one option is to simply, if you feel that is true, that this does not represent what you discussed, then you would defeat this, or we could say it's out of order because it's the... Carmen's going to help us out. Either avenue would work, but
The reason why we made the proposal the way that we did was because the proposal asked for the General Counsel Executive to do work that the General Counsel Executive is already doing. It doesn't need to go to the General Counsel Executive for implementation because that work is already happening. So that's why we're forwarding it to them for information so that this can inform the work that's ongoing.
Thank you. So I've been told that we could either rule this out of order because it's so radically different from what was suggested, or we could simply vote on it, and if you think it isn't what is being suggested, I'm calling it out of order. So I guess that means that if whatever we do end up voting on gets defeated, this could come back as an alternative motion, is how we would do that. But this amendment, as it is worded, is not in order. I see a microphone too, but unfortunately the point of order mic always takes, but it does need to be point of order. So point of order mic.
I don't want to do this, but as I read this, it's affirm, direct to, and I guess I might be actually challenging you, to immediately provide information, an update, and direct the executive to make this a priority. So it's acknowledging the work's there, but we haven't heard much about it. We want it to be lifted up in importance. So I didn't really see that as being out of order.
I hear that, but others did. Sorry. Turns out that the girl with the hat gets to rule. Who knew? I know. I know, if only you'd worn your hat. So we're back to the suggested way forward. We've heard again from the facilitation team about the rationale behind this particular wording, and I am calling on microphone 2.
Thank you. Sandra Nixon, British Columbia Conference. Since the amendment has been ruled out of order, I won't speak in favor of the amendment. I will speak in opposition then to the motion for some of the reasons that the previous speaker just gave, that my understanding of this motion is that it's asking for an update and expressing some concern that we haven't had an update and that it wasn't able to come to General Counsel for discussion. So I would be speaking to defeat this motion, but wanted the court to understand why. Not that it's not an important conversation, but would prefer to see an affirmation of this proposal, in fact. Thank you.
Okay. Microphone 1.
Daniel McDonald, Bay of Quinte. I would propose an amendment that I think is in spirit with the one that was just ruled out of order, saying that the 43rd General Counsel refer proposal MAR 03 to General Counsel Executive for information, and that the work of the current task group on the Association of Ministers be made a priority.
Okay.
I don't have a seconder. Oh, Penny Nelson.
Okay, so can you get the wording of that to our tech team, please? And your name as well. So I'm now going to entertain discussion on, so we've heard the rationale. Is there anything else we need to hear to help you make your informed decision on the amendment, which we will see up there in a moment? So it's appending the words, and that the work of the current task group on the Association of Ministers be made a priority. So everything that you've discussed will be sent to the General, proposing that be sent to the General Counsel Executive for information, and the work of the task group that's working on this will be made a priority. This is the amendment that is before us. Is there any discussion on that amendment, or microphone 2?
Moderator Ross Bartlett, Maritime Conference, and I'm sorry to be here. But my information, my understanding is that the task group is giving a final report to PC MEPS this fall. And once the task group disappears, having completed their final report, then what then happens?
Well, I guess that depends what they say, but I'm not sure that that would change.
Okay, okay. I'm just wanting to make sure that the fulfilling of the current task group assignment isn't seen as completing the force of this proposal from the General Council.
Well, if it's going to come that quickly, I would say that really has been made a priority. I mean, the report. Yeah, sorry. All right. We have the amendment before us. I'm going to call your question. I'm calling the question on the amendment, whether or not you wish to include the amendment in the proposal. So get out your clickers, and if you are in favor of including this amendment, click 1. If you're opposed, click 2. Please vote now. That amendment is carried. So now we have the motion as amended before us, that the 43rd General Council refer proposal MAR 03 to General Council Executive for information, and that the work of the current task group on the Association of Ministers be made a priority. If there's any further discussion on this motion, I'm hearing a call for the question. I'm not seeing anybody moving to a microphone, so I'm going to call for the vote. If you are in favor of the motion as amended, then please click 1. If you're opposed, click 2. Please vote now. And that is carried with 87%. All right, friends, we have finished the remit implementation theme, and we are moving on to a break. We are moving on to a break so that you can feed your bodies and your spirits with some food and time. It's 6 minutes to 4 according to my watch. I'm going to invite you to be back here in half an hour.